Masechta Shabbos, Parak Tezayin, Mishnah Aleph. Kol kisvei hakodesh matzilun oitzon mipnei adleika, ben she'karen behen, ben she'ein karen behen. When a fire breaks out, it's natural and normal for people to put it out to save their possessions. The Chachamim were therefore concerned that when a fire breaks out on Shabbos, people in their anxiety will save all their possessions. They may forget Hilchos Shabbos and put out the fire, which would be Mechaber, which is one of the Malachas. They therefore were guided that a person may not save his possessions from a fire on Shabbos except for certain items, among which are Kisvei HaKodesh. Tanakh. The following Mishnah will deal with the halachas of saving which books you're allowed to save from the fire. Kol Kisvei HaKodesh, Torah Nevi'im and Ksuvim, Matzilin Leisam Mipnei Adleika. Now, you're allowed to save them from a fire. Only books, Svarim, that are written in Ksav Ashuri and Loshen Kodesh are included in this Kula because they have special Kedusha. You may remove them from a burning house or courtyard to save them from being destroyed. Even though the Chachamim asked saving general property from a fire on Shabbos, they were matter saving Kisvei HaKodesh because of the Kedusha. For this reason, they were matter carrying them out of a burning courtyard even into another courtyard, even if you don't have Erev Chatzeros, since carrying from one Chatzor to another Chatzor without Erev Chatzeros is only Asur M'Darabanan. The Chachamim were makel in this Isser for the Kedusha of saving the Kisvei HaKodesh from a fire. Ben she'karen behen, ben she'ein karen behen. I understand. Kisvei HaKodesh, Shabbos is you're supposed to learn. So what's Kisvei HaKodesh that ein karen behen? What are we talking about? So ben she'karen behen, the Rab says, K'gay Nevi'im she'maftirim ben b'Shabbos Beis HaKnesses, the Navi, that you use it for the Haftarah in Shul on Shabbos. Ben she'ein karen behen. Or whether they're Svarim, which individuals do not read on Shabbos, such as Ksuvim. The Mishnah will explain why we don't read Ksuvim on Shabbos. Until this point, we were discussing with Kisvei HaKodesh written in Lashon HaKodesh. Mishnah now discusses the halacha regarding Svarim translated and written into other languages. The Gemara explains that the Mishnah is actually missing words at this point. It should say, all Kisvei HaKodesh may be saved from a fire on Shabbos, whether we read from them, whether we don't read from them. When is this true? When they're written in Lashon Kodesh. However, when they're written in other languages, they may not be saved from a fire on Shabbos. However, even when they are written in any language besides Lashon Kodesh, so they may not be used and may not be saved from a fire on Shabbos. This is the Shita of Reb Gamliel in Megillah, Parak Aleph Mishnah Ches, who also is reading from Kisvei HaKodesh written in other languages than Lashon Kodesh. Since it's also to use them, they may not be saved on Shabbos. U'tu'unum geniza, they still require storing at other times. They may not simply be abandoned, but must be put away in a safe place to prevent their desecration. Nowadays, as it being that it's mutter to write psukim in other languages, since some in Yidden do not understand Lashon Kodesh, and that's why ArtScroll is such a bracha, or ArtScroll or any other language is such a Gabaldik Gazach, because it gave access to terrorists, it gave access to so many people. It's also mutter to save the translations as well as other Svarim on Shabbos. What's pshat if you don't read from Ksuvim? Because of the neglect of the Beis Medrash. On Shabbos, there would be drashas for men who are occupied with their work all week and therefore unable to learn Torah on Shabbos. They were unable to learn Torah. And these shiurim that they would go to, these drashas that they would go to, they were taught many halachas about the everyday life. So the Chachamim asked reading Ksuvim on Shabbos that people shouldn't become fascinated by the Ksuvim and read them instead of going to the Drasha. Matzilun tik ha-sefer ma-sefer, we may save the case of a Sefer Torah together with the Sefer Torah itself. V'tik ha-tfilin and the case of tfilin together with the tfilin. Ra'av pishes b'seich ha-mois, even if there's money inside them. Money may not be moved on Shabbos because it's muksa. However, if we were to require moving the cloth from the case and then putting it back in after the money was dumped out, it would take too much time. The tefillin may get burnt, the Sefer Torah may get burnt. So the Chacham were therefore matter to take it with the money, then the Mavatul Muktzah for this just go out. I say, to where may we save them? To what place may we transfer the Sifrei HaKodesh on Shabbos in order to save them? Obviously, it can't be Mechal Shabbos to take it from Rishus Yechad to Rishus Rabbim, because that's only where this Pikuach Nefesh. But for saving Kisvei HaKodesh, the Chacham were matter overriding certain dinim d'Rabbanon. So what dinim d'Rabbanon are we talking about? L'mavah she'enim afulish, to an alley that's not open, even an alley that has walls on three sides and the fourth side is closed by just one post by a lechi. In the times of the Mishnayos, several houses would open into a courtyard and several courtyards would open into an alley. the alleys would open into the Rishus HaRabim. So when a fire breaks out in the house or a chutzner, there's a danger that it'll spread throughout the chutzner. So you need to carry the Sifrei Kodesh into the Mavoi. A Mavoi enclosed by 3 walls and open on the 4th side is Minatari considered a Rishus HaYachid, and one may carry from a chutzner into it. However, the Chachamim answered carrying into a Mavoi unless it has a Lechi by the entrance, which serves as a token partition for that side. The Mishnah follows the Shita Rebbe Lezer at the beginning of Eruvin, Perek Aleph Mishnah Beis, that 2 posts are needed to enclose an alley properly, one side for each entrance. However, for being Matzil Kisvei HaKodesh, we were matter carrying them even if it had just 1 lechi, not 2. Mishnah Beis. Matzilin Mazon Shalosh Sudas. We may save from a fire food sufficient for 3 meals that one is required to eat on Shabbos, but not more than that. So he may not forget and put out the fire. Haroy la'odam la'odam, haroy la'behema la'behema. What's fit for an animal, what's fit for people may be saved for people. And what's fit for animals may be saved for animals. There's great halacha, you have to feed your animal before you eat yourself. On Shabbos, there's no Torah to not feed your animal. Obviously, it has to be done in a way where there's not going to be Chol Shabbos, but that's definitely the halacha. Okay, so how so? Meaning, how could you save it? What's the Tanai over here? Naflat like Leil Shabbos, Matzilin Mazon Shalosh Sudas. If a fire broke out Leil Shabbos before the Suda, you could save the amount of food required for 3 meals that one is Mechuyev to eat on Shabbos. B'Shachris, Matzilin Mazon Shalosh Shtei Sudas. If the fire broke out in the morning before the day Suda, you may save only that amount of food needed for the 2 Sudas that's still required during the day. But Mincha, Mazon Suda Achas. So if the fire broke out in the afternoon before Shalosh Sudas, you may save only the amount of food that's needed for Shalosh Sudas. Rabbi Yossi Amar La'elam Matzilin Mazon Shalosh Sudas. Rabbi Yossi says we may always save enough food for 3 meals, no matter when the fire breaks out. Since the food is being carried into a chutzner, where it's mutter to carry, one should really be allowed to carry as much food as he wishes. It's only that the Chachamim limited the amount of food that may be saved from a fire for enough to be enough for 3 meals. According to Rabbi Yossi, when they did so, they didn't make any distinction as to when the fire breaks out. Mishnah Gimel. Matzilan salma lekikros v'ava pishesh b'mei sudas. One may save a basket full of loaves of bread from a fire, even though it contains enough food for 100 meals. V'igol shel dvela. Likewise, we may save a round cake of pressed figs, even though it has enough figs for many meals. They were very, very big sometimes. V'chav shel yayin. You may save a whole barrel of wine, even though it contains enough wine for many meals. Since all the bread, figs, or wine in the container is saved at once, the Chacham didn't limit the amount that may be saved. The owner of a burning house may say to others, "Come and save food for yourself," and each of them may take for himself food for the 3 meals. If these people were knowledgeable in Hilchas Shabbos and knew they may return the food to the owner of the burning house and take the money for their efforts instead of keeping the food for themselves, they may make a cheshbon with him after Shabbos to how much the work of saving the food was worth, and they may take their pay for saving the food. What's going on? What's with this over here? The Mishnah talks about Yirei Shamayim who don't want to take advantage of an owner forced to abandon his food against his will. However, a real chassid, a really righteous person, would not even do this because it resembles accepting pay for doing something on Shabbos. Even though it's mutter, but Yirei Shamayim wouldn't do that. Where do we save the food? What kind of area do we bring the food in? The chatzah that has a revei chatzeres. Only to a chatzah where carrying would be mutter in any case, and they were not makel for saving food from a fire. Meaning, because we said in Mishnah Aleph that the Chachamim allowed Kisvei HaKodesh to be carried out to an area which is normally also Midrabanan. However, they were not makel when it came to food. Ben Beseira says that even a chatzah that does not have a revei chatzeres, the Chachamim waived the requirement of a revei chatzeres when it's necessary to save food from a fire, and was matter carrying the food even to a chatzah that was not joined in such an eruv. Mishnah Dal Ulasham, and to that type of chatzah that we mentioned in the previous Mishnah, meaning according to the Tanakama, to a chatzah hamureves, and according to Ben Beseira, even a chatzah without an eruv, may carry out all the kalim that he needs to use for his meals that Shabbos: plates, forks, knives, chairs, tables, whatever he needs. And he may put on all the clothes that he can put on, even more than one of each type of garment. He can wear 10 shirts, one on top of the other. He may wrap himself with all that he can wrap around himself, such as kerchiefs, shawls, scarves, and wear them out to the chutzner. Even if it's a hot summer day, he could put on 10 winter coats. Rabbi Yossi says he may put on only 18 garments that people usually wear together. In the times of Rabbi Yossi, it was customary to wear 18 different garments at once. The garments were a cloak, a quilted coat, a wide belt worn over the outer garments, a short, thin garment, an undershirt, a belt worn on the undershirt, a hat, a cap, a pair of shoes, a pair of leggings, a pair of gloves that cover the arms as far as the elbow, 2 kerchiefs used to dry oneself but also used as garments, a kerchief that covers the head and the shoulders, and a scarf. So the pair of shoes and the pair of leggings, each one is considered 2. The Rav goes through this cheshbon and mentions each one, but we just read the spoken amount. He may put on these 18 garments, he may repeat this procedure and return and put on more garments and take them out as well. Meaning once he reaches a safe place, he can take out these begadim and repeat the process. And he may say to others, come and save with me. They too may save the garments only by wearing them out to a safe place. In the case of clothes, there's no difference between the amount he may save and the amount others may save. So come and be matzil. In the case of food, however, the owner and the others do not necessarily save the same amount, since how much they may save depends on how many meals they have left to eat. But for example, if the owner didn't eat his Suda Shabbos morning, but the others did, they may only save enough for Shalosh Sudas, so he may save for 2 Sudas. You stomach can figure out Mahalach to make it tonight to be able to take out more food in this eifin, but it could be that we're not going to give makom for the tonight because we want you to just carry out the food and everyone should be safe. Mishnah Hey. Reb Shimon ben Anna says, Person Osher Gedi al Gabishida Teva Migdal Shachas ben Seor. We may spread a moist hide of a baby goat over a wooden chest, box, or closet that partially caught fire, which effectively stops the fire from spreading because the moist hide only gets singed rather than burnt. We may make a barrier with any vessels, whether they're full of water or empty, so that the fire doesn't pass and burn the items beyond where you put the kelim. Famous story, there was a rug in the Baba Sali's house that caught fire, and he picked up his stick and he waved it over to a certain spot, and the fire didn't go past that spot. Okay. Rabbi Yossi, however, forbids making a barrier with new earthenware kelim that are full of water, because such kelim, being new and not so hardened, cannot withstand the fire, and they'll burst from the heat, and it'll end up extinguishing the fire. So according to Rabbi Yossi, gram kiboy, causing the fire to be extinguished, is usr, even in order to prevent financial loss. Mishnah Vav. If a guy came to extinguish the fire in a Yiddish house on Shabbos, you're not allowed to tell him to put it out, don't put it out. Because responsibility for the guys resting from malacha on Shabbos is not placed on the Yid. The Torah doesn't require for us to stop a guy from performing the malacha, even for a Yid. So why are we not allowed to tell him? Because it's also midrabanan to tell a guy to do malacha for you on Shabbos. The midrabanan, however, generally requires objecting to a non-Jews doing malacha for Yid on Shabbos. In our case, though, it does not apply because we assume that the guy extinguishes the fire because he expects to be rewarded. So he's doing it for his own good. He's not doing it to help the Yid. If a Jewish child comes to extinguish the fire on his own, we don't listen to him, meaning we must stop him, because it's a responsibility. We're mechuyev in his shvisa. We have to teach him the Hilchah Shabbos and we're moser al shvisas hakoton, and we're not moser on the shvisas ha'akum. Meaning that the adults have to be mechanic this child that he's not allowed to put out the fire on Shabbos. Mishnah Zayin. Koifin ka'ara al gabe haner. We may turn over a bowl and place it over a lamp. Bishvil shalei tachos b'koiros, that the flame of the lamp will not catch onto the beam in the ceiling and set it on fire. However, one must make sure not to extinguish the flame by placing the bowl over it. Therefore, you must leave some space between the bowl and the lamp. Although the beam is muktzah, we may move the bowl in order to protect it. Baltzaya shal katan. We may also place a bowl over chicken excrement, which often draws the interest of a small child, so he doesn't play with it and soil himself. Although the excrement is muktzah, we may move the bowl in order to cover it. You're also allowed to place a bowl over a scorpion to trap it so it doesn't sting, even if the sting is not deadly, but it's only painful. There's no isser of tzad over here, since the purpose of trapping the scorpion is not to make use of it, just to keep it away. Although midrabanan, it would be also to trap it even for this purpose, we're allowed to do this when we're trying to prevent tsar. Because it would be also to malach and sheikh laguf, as we explained. Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said, there was an incident where someone trapped a scorpion with an overturned bowl, and he came before Rabbi Yechon Mazaka in the city of Arov, which was a city in the Galil. V'amar, Rabbi Yechon Mazaka told him, I fear for him that he's trying to bring a chatas, because he may have been over on the Yisod D'Oraisa, although his whole purpose was only to keep the scorpion away. Only if the scorpion sting would have been deadly, that's when you're allowed to trap it on Shabbos. Rabbi Yechon Mazaka said that he feared that the person is chayav chatas, but he didn't say that he's vaday chayav chatas, because he didn't know whether or not the scorpion had a deadly sting or not. If it did have a deadly sting, then trapping it was mutter, since saving a life is going to override any Isser D'Oraisa on Shabbos, also because it's Pekuach Nefesh. Mishnah Ches. If a goy lit a lamp on Shabbos for his own use, Yisrael, a yid may use its light. But if the goy did it for the yid, also it's also for the yid to use its light on Shabbos. Even a different yid, who the goy did not have in mind, may not use the light on Shabbos either. If a goy draw water from a Rishus HaYachid to give it to his animal in a Rishus HaRabim, Mashka Achar of Yisrael, a yid may give the remainder of that water to the animal to drink after the goy was finished. In Bishvil Yisrael also, but if the goy took the water out of a Rishus HaYachid into Rishus HaRabim to benefit the yid, it's also for the yid to use this water on Shabbos. So Mishnah adds this case to teach where a goy draws water for himself. We're not concerned that he'll take extra water for the yid. The goyim are not so nice. They're not goyim like chasodim. And if they are goyim like chasodim, only for themselves, they don't do things for other people. Also, if a goy made a ramp for himself, upon which to come down from a ship, Yered Achar of Yisrael, a yid may come down from the ship by using the ramp after him, but if the guy made it for the yid himself, also it's also for the yid to use the ramp. Building the ramp involves the melacha of building and baina and makav patrish. Ma'aser Reb Gamliel was a Canaan. There was an incident that happened to Reb Gamliel and this Canaan Sheibam Besvina that they were arriving in a ship that docked on Shabbos. But also and a goy made a ramp upon which they were able to come down from the ship. Reb Gamliel was a Canaan. Reb Gamliel and this Canaan used it to come down from the ship, since the goy made it for himself.